Mike Schallau was Brewing, and this is the Brewer to Brewer podcast from All About Beer. My guest is Zack Day, the co-founder and director of brew operations at Funkytown Brewery, and he is here for a conversation that goes beyond the brew house and into topics that matter to brewing professionals and the curious beer drinkers. But first, please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at allaboutbeer. And to support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. We'll get into the conversation in just a moment, but first, this message.
Today's episode is brought to you by StompStickers.com, trusted by thousands of breweries across the country. They've been printing for over 30 years, and they know beer branding inside and out. Whether you need beer labels, keg collars, coasters, beer boxes, or more, they've got the expertise you need, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Try your first run with StompStickers.com and get 15% off with code TRY15. That's TRY15 by visiting StompStickers.com. This German flavor break is brought to you by Weyermann Specialty Malts, crafted in Bamberg, Germany, and trusted by brewers worldwide for depth, color, and flavor. With a portfolio of over 90 malts, Weyermann provides the tools to build anything from crisp pilsners with Pilsner Malt to rich Märzens layered with Munich and Vienna. Even complex dark beers using Caramunich and Special W. Whether you're refining a classic European style or pushing modern recipes, order Weyermann from RahrBSG. As an industry-leading keg management partner, Keg Logistics delivers premium stainless steel kegs with the flexibility you truly need. Whether you're kegging your first batch or scaling your distribution, choose the program that fits. Rent to own, flexible term leasing, or pay per fill. Get top quality kegs without massive upfront costs and terms that grow with you. Thousands of brewers, cider makers, and wineries trust Keg Logistics to keep production flowing. Head to keglogistics.com/allaboutbeer for your custom quote. Keg Logistics, your kegs, your choice.
Welcome. Very pleased to have Zack Day as my guest today. Zack Day is native of Oak Park, Illinois, attended Grambling State University, and later received his Bachelor's of Arts degree in Criminal Justice Studies from Governors State University. He began his career focusing on the improvement of children in various nonprofit and for-profit organizations. During the day, Zack is a senior counselor and supervisor for Youth Guidance's BAM, Becoming a Man program, a school-based mentoring and counseling program that improves the social, emotional, and behavioral competencies of youth in grades 7 through 12. During the evening, he is the director of brewing operations and one of the 3 co-founders of Funkytown Brewery, a startup Black-owned brewery in Chicago that launched October 2021 that focuses on the beginner craft beer drinker. Zack is also the recipient of the 2022 Michael James Jackson Foundation Scholarship for Brewing, a scholarship designed to advance technical education and facilitate career opportunities for people of color. He will be pursuing his brewing degree this winter at the Siebel Institute of Technology. Zack, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you look great as always, as everyone on the podcast can tell.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. You're glowing yourself, brother.
Thank you. Right. So I guess we start at the beginning. So how did you first get into beer?
It's a long story, so I'll shorten it as much as I can, but I might get into the weeds a little bit. But started when we were in college, right? So maybe a little before college, depending on who's asking. But we started drinking in college. So your regular Miller Lights, Bud Ices, anything that was like $1.50, $1.25 that we could get our hands on. Miller High Life parties and stuff like that. So when we left college, we came back home, and when we did, it was around the craft beer scene where it was really booming. So we're talking about like your Half Acres, your Revolutions, all starting to make good headway out in the beer space. And so, with new jobs and a couple more opportunities kind of allowed us to venture out and start drinking some more beer, right? So we were always the ones that would show up at barbecues or social events with craft beer. So there was always this natural kind of inquisitive nature about what we were drinking. And so we started our journey as far as beer drinking. Just I would figure almost like anybody else, just starting in something super basic, and then leaning into other different beer styles and figuring out what kind of matches with you and your palate. So just me and the guys, man, we'd always been talking about putting our business minds together and creating a company around beer, making a brewery. But it was just a idea that was floated here and there, and it was just kind of like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool, that sounds good, that sounds cool. And one day we just buckled down. Was like, yo, let's really do this. So we already knew that there was a lane there. We already knew that there was an education piece there that we could pursue and weave it into our culture, weave it into allowing Black and brown folks to kind of find their own kind of lane in the craft beer. We figured the way by doing that was kind of having everybody who tasted our beer or tried our beer come in the same direction as we did. It starting with something that's low in bitterness, low in astringency, low in alcohol volume, to just kind of get their lane, and then hopefully graduate them to different kind of beer styles. So 2021, we launched. We launched a pilot project, and from there, this rest was kind of history. But it's been a great ride. It's had its ups and its downs, its ebbs and its flows, some longer than others, but yet and still, the passion is still there. Our camaraderie is still there. They always say, don't get in business with your friends. They say also don't live with your friends. And I lived with Greg for a few years and got in business with Rich and Greg. So we kind of like defying the odds, so to speak. So
many ways. So yeah. You guys say you focus on the beginning craft beer drinker. So when you sit down and you got Beersmith open or whatever, what are you thinking about to make sure that you deliver something that the beginning craft beer drinker is open to and into? Are there certain tricks you have, or is it just what's your thought process there?
I guess I always go back to it. It's kind of half and half, right? It's like, what would I want to drink as a beginner beer drinker? But we all know that beer is subjective, so that's kind of a difficult road to take all in itself. But it's also getting those data points from folks when we were doing sampling campaigns and having them try out our home brews, what they say that they did like, what they didn't like, if something was too bitter, if something wasn't too bitter. And then I just incorporate all of that when I get in there. So, we want to stay with kind of like basic styles. So whether it's pale ales, whether it's wheat beers, something that's easy on their palate. And then eventually, hopefully they'll try some other stuff and connect with some other stuff. But when I open Beersmith, it's like, okay, what would I drink? And what do I think that the consumer would want to drink if this is their first time trying a beer? What are they used to tasting? What are they yearning for? What do they say do they say something's missing? So we just try to gather all that. And when I open that, just, all right, let's go from here and see what happens.
And when you guys are coming up with the full concept of a beer, how do you carry that idea into the rest of it, like the packaging, the presentation, where you're selling it? I know you're the head of brewing operations, but you guys work closely together. So how do you approach, once you've made a beer you believe is good for the beginning beer drinker or will be, interesting to Black and brown drinkers who might not be as nerded out to be buying Saisons with Brettanomyces in cans? What are the next steps you guys do?
All right. So first it's the beer style. And then it's really a chaotic, creative process with us. Because we've been friends for so long, we've been friends longer than we haven't. Right. So, you can just sit us in a room and then ideas will just start going, ideas will just start flowing. Our flagship hip hops, that was super intentional, right? Because we wanted that to be the flagship. So we practiced on different fonts that we would throw on the label. What kind of feeling did we want the consumer to have when they picked up the can? What do we want them to potentially taste when they start drinking the liquid? So it was a lot of thought within that. So that's like the creative aspects within that piece is like the label, because the label comes from different radio station fonts and things like that. So it kind of pulls that nostalgic feeling. It's like, oh, I've seen this somewhere. Where have I seen it? Oh, I've seen this type of font somewhere. Where was that? Oh, I feel like that was from the Source magazine, in which that's some of the stuff that we got, right? But some of our other beers, it's that chaotic process. So we might work forwards, we might work backwards. We might have the name of the beer first and then work backwards through that, or we might create the beer first and then like, okay, what season is this supposed to be for? For instance, Jim Shoe Weather, our Belgian pale ale that we got. It's like, okay, when do we want this to come out? All right, what kind of season is this beer style good for? You know what? All right, what resonates with us? What can we bring from our childhood? What can we give some nostalgic feeling to? And since we out here in Chicago call gym shoes gym shoe, not necessarily sneakers. So it's like, okay, gym shoe season, and we're sneakerheads or gym shoe heads, right? So it's important what outside looks like before you put on your shoes.
Sure. Do you guys ever butt heads about stuff like that? Like you think something's approachable and they're like, you're crazy. This is too bitter. This is too, or are you guys pretty aligned there?
No, we bump heads. I'm the one who doesn't like certain stuff. I've made beer and beer styles and put adjuncts in there that I like wouldn't eat in real life. So
Persimmons.
like I never went to the store to just get like a persimmon and be like, yeah, I'm gonna
They're pretty
slice
good
this
though,
up.
right?
Right. No, they are. It was surprisingly good. But like I hate cherry, stuff like that. So we do. It's Rich will really throw out like 1,000 ideas at a time. And then I'll just be like, no, 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 no. Yeah, that sounds decent. And then he'll double back to the ones I said no to, and be like, "Why? But you don't like cherry?" I said, "Man, when have you ever seen me eat a cherry? I'm learning more and more about you every day." So and that's that friendship. You know what I mean? Like peeling back layers of the onion while still doing business. So it's we butt heads, but we butt heads like friends. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When it comes to that type of stuff. So it's like somebody might say something goofy on the style and somebody might joke on them for that. And it's like, all right, maybe I shouldn't say that one again. So
Well,
yeah.
you guys brewed a beer at our brewery recently, a contracted beer here, Doll's Garden. Where did that beer come from? And how did you go about building that? Because that was a historical kind of inspiration, right?
Yeah. So it was to commemorate again the 250th birthday of America and kind of the hidden hands and the hidden stories that were behind one of America's greatest pastime, which is drinking beer. So we partnered with Soul Mega out of DC, Mount Vernon's estate, which was Washington's estate, Beer Cultural Center. And we wanted to tell the story of where beer kind of originated from in this particular aspect. So what we wanted to focus on is, the slave community in the Mount Vernon estate was responsible for the production of the beer, the preservation of the hops and all the adjuncts that would go into the beer. So we wanted to focus our story on a particular enslaved woman named Doll. And she was the one who was preserving the cherries, preserving the persimmons that would go into the beer. And so never knowing what a persimmon looked like, never knowing what a persimmon tastes like, never even knowing where to get a persimmon from,
Right.
presented a challenge in itself. But I think that's the fun part. I think the fun part is getting a project, it's completely from scratch, and then trying to figure it out. And then the enjoying part, but also the most the part that fills me with most anxiety is that it's kind of like, all right, we got a one shot to do this, no like R&D type of thing. It's just like, okay, let's go in here and do this now. And I think that's some more excitement that I get with the whole brewing process. But trying to find these persimmons, going to Indiana, not going to Indiana, but willing to take a trip to Indiana.
Sure.
To get some, calling different farms, looking online, of course, help from you, right?
Sure.
Sourcing out stuff. So, but looking all around, the funny part is I was looking in different states, looking in different counties, and there were persimmons 5 minutes up the street from me.
Of course.
So I was making all this effort when I could have just shot up the street. But cutting up that persimmon and seeing what it's actually like, almost like a candy type of pear, and then just wanting to take that which Dahl used for the beer, and then add a kind of like a base beer recipe behind it, so the blonde ale, because we wanted kind of that persimmon to speak out, but also put in there a little twist of some apricot as well to kind of give it that slight tart feeling, slight tart taste. So yeah, it was. I wanted to use the hops that they used out there at that time, but it was really hard to identify specifically what type of hops that they were using. Still don't know if they were grown there or they were imported or whatever the case. So all they did was call it was common hop. So it's just like, all right, what was common around there? And then we had the guys at Mount Vernon doing a lot of research. So it's dope. They keep excavating a whole bunch of land around there and just finding different stories of enslaved folks and what was going on in that state. So it was huge. It actually got placement in the Obama Presidential Center,
Very
along with
cool.
the flagship. So that was really, really dope. So it was able to be there during Juneteenth for the opening and the launch of it. So we were really excited to be a part of that and tell a story. They're not a lot of heard. So
Since you guys opened in 2021, how has that understanding of what the beginning drinker wanted evolved for you guys? Has it mostly maintained that it's like kind of classic styles, or have you seen your ability to connect with the change or the drinker change, or well, it hasn't evolved at all?
I think it has. And I think it's getting back to classic styles, right? I think people really do like a sprinkle of exotic here and there, but they always kind of have their go-to styles and their go-to brands. So, the way that, because we know it's heavy IPA. It was a heavy IPA for a long time. And you're talking about doubles, you're talking about triples, you're talking about a whole bunch of stuff that's just like, like tongue scraping, right? Like just super bitter, and it's not something that you can introduce a new group to. I mean, you can, but it's almost like a shot in the dark. So, when we decided to go ahead, yeah, this is what we're going to do, this beer thing, start this brewery, it was really like, how do we get people to get to that place of, hey, I'll try an IPA, I'll try a double IPA, because I enjoy IPA just like anybody else, as long as it's good. But that's not the beer that we would want to introduce someone to. But now that we're seeing that like the kind of IPA and all of that is kind of trending back towards traditional styles, there hasn't had to be a pivot for us in that aspect, in that sense. So one, it tells us that we're on the right path, and a sustainable path. And two, it still gives us the ability to just kind of do something funky every now and again. And
Funkytown.
fun intended. It allows us to do something different every now and again. And that trust within that traditional low bitterness, kind of palatable taste is still there. So there's like, oh, we tried this, but we're going to go back to this. But it gives them ability to kind of try stuff. We're always surprised or shocked though when we go out and do tastings. some beers that we won't think a certain demographic would like. All of a sudden, it's just like, yeah, that. Oh, we love that. We love that. We love that. So the market kind of changes our perspective every time that we step out.
And I guess kind of tied into that, since 2021, how have you seen the community of like black and brown breweries and black and brown beer drinkers change since you guys have been around? Because
I mean, the close. Go ahead.
yeah, like it's like it's still like less than 1% of breweries are owned by black people, but like
Yeah.
gotta be more than 1% of people drinking beer, right?
Oh, for sure. Like the amount of people that you see, black and brown people that come out to the beer festivals
Yeah.
is absolutely insane. Like the one in Pittsburgh where they got Barrel and Flow, formerly called Fresh Fest. Like that is a festival. Again, USA Today rated it like number 2. I think it was number 1 at one point as far as beer festivals in the nation. That was the beer festival that let us know it's like, hey, there are black and brown folks that drink beer in like large amounts and a large mass. So it's like, oh crap, this is something that's possible. So, but on the other side, as far as beer owners and brewery owners, black and brown in the beer space, it's still as difficult as it was before. Funding is always going to be a catch up for us. Just because it's either lack of knowledge, bandwidth. You got guys and brewery owners working 2-3 jobs, still trying to open up a brewery and keep a brewery. You got family, kids. It's a lot of variables to go in, but we black and brown don't like is trying to catch up, right? So we're all playing like the catch up game. But finances and funding is continuously the biggest barrier, like for all kind of black and brown breweries.
Yeah, because I know you guys got a pretty like awesome matching grant from the city, but you still means you gotta raise the money to match it, right? Which like
yeah, it's
not easy for anyone, but
no, it's just like somebody telling you, I got you a Christmas gift,
right.
but you know what I mean? Christmas was yesterday, but you're not going to get it for like another year. It's like, golly, okay.
Right.
All right, I guess I can't open my gift. But yeah, I mean, that's the funding piece, man. And you don't know until you know, right? So you don't know what mistakes you made. You don't know, what situations are going to call for certain conversations. You don't know that type of stuff yet, but you once you get into it and you learn, you want to learn from mistakes. And the biggest thing we've always said is not to make the critical mistake, because you're gonna say yes when you should have said no. You're gonna say no when you should have said yes.
Right.
But as long as it doesn't bring down and crush your infrastructure and crush your business, and you avoid that critical, then you're good.
Yeah.
But it's
I think
still a lot of black folks drinking beer, man. A lot.
I think anytime you're doing something like entrepreneurial or starting your own business, like it's not like having another job where you're staring out into a million options and you have no idea really which one you should take, and you got to learn to be like, well, I can't go backwards. So in that moment, like I just got to make the best decision I can with the information I have and what I think the future is going to hold, and then you also realize that there's no benefit from really looking back unless you made some really fundamental flaw where there was something obvious. Like if you made like the sixth best out of 100 possible choices, that's pretty good. That's an A, like
Yeah.
And if you get mad at yourself for not making the number one top choice, which was something I would get into all of the time, where I'm like, oh, it could be so much better, but now I'm like, could have been a lot worse,
Yeah, and it's that's I think you mentioned is just that's the looking forward piece, right? Like we're all gonna make mistakes, whether it's in this profession, whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's in whatever, man, business, personal, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. We're all gonna make mistakes. So it's like you can't harp on what you can't change. And the only thing that you can do is gather that information, store it, make sure you process that though, and figure out how you got there and why you got there, and then be able to have like the mindfulness of like if it comes back up or it shows its head again, you know what to do based on some previous experience with it. So we're continuously learning. Like when we initially first tried to when we initially first tried to start our raise, like I ain't gonna lie to you, we probably looked at it through some rose-colored glasses, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, hey,
So
we
easy.
can raise what? And it's
Yeah.
funny because it goes back to what we thought before with the bank situations. Like, hey, we can just walk into the bank and grab a loan and be like, hey, we want to do this, but it's not that way. But now we had a lot of publicity, we had a lot of notoriety, and so we're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't. We're not naive enough to think that it's not going to be difficult, but we were confident enough that it wasn't going to be extremely difficult, right? Like, nothing should be that easy, but nothing should be that hard either, right? So it's like somewhere in the middle. And then, you know, reality comes and knocks on your door and it's like, yo, did you miss me? And it's like, I'm back. So it's like, all right, this is a
And
little bit more difficult than we thought.
once you start saying, okay, now go get the checkbook, then people will get a little bit different about how much
Dude,
they love you, right?
yeah, like you have conversations with them, and they're like, "Man, yeah, we'll get you X amount. Yeah, yeah, this sounds great. This is an awesome opportunity, man. I want to, I want to be one of the first ones." Boom, 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 and it's like, "All right, great. You get that verbal commitment." We had a list, like a list of verbal commitments, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all right, man. We glad that you're interested. You showed a lot of interest. All right, now it's kind of time to cut that check. And it's like, oh, let me get back to you. Or, you know what? I know we said X, but we can only do Y. And it's like, okay. And it's, sometimes I can crush your spirit, crush your ego a little bit, right?
For
Um,
sure. It's
you
like
think,
the opposite of like, vote of confidence, right? Where you're like, oh, you don't really you don't believe in maybe I don't believe in me anymore either. Like that kind of thing kind of starts creeping in. Yeah, this guy's got to be right, right?
yeah,
He has more money than me, obviously.
bro. Yeah. It's like, okay, he's done investments. He's done this. She's done that. Damn.
Yeah.
Is this the right route? Is this the right time? And yeah, you start to get those. I don't know if I want to categorize. It might be too harsh of a phrase, but not necessarily self doubt. But it's just like, all right, let me reassess what's going on and how do we find the right pivot if the pivot is necessary.
Sure. And when you're doing something like this, that's like creative and cultural, in addition to being like it has to be a financial thing, right? It's like business. But
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're going, you're like, hey, I buy and sell domain names or something. Like, I don't know, that's a tough business. But you can go to a bank and just be like, well, here are all the numbers. And then there's like, okay, those are the numbers. Well, I go to a bank and I'm like, here are the numbers. Like, well, that's not very good. I'm like, yeah, but here's the story and look at the growth and like it's a totally different. Like I talked to, we did all of our raise basically. Yeah, pretty much all of it. I mean, we were in business for 4 years before I started doing it, but it was all through a bank loan. It's a lot less money than a lot of people look for, but like I had to go to like,
Mm-hmm.
I think I went to 13 banks. And I had, 4 to 4-ish years of like 10% revenue growth every year. Not wasn't huge. It was just me running
Right.
around in my station wagon. But the things that they say are just like, I'm like, I showed you all those things, and they're like, well, yeah, it's a brewery, or it's really a restaurant. And like, well, I mean, fine, but we're also like, then we're also a farm if you're gonna say that, because we're making growing the food. But then we found one that like, when it happened with the right place, and we got the
Mm-hmm.
money we needed. But it is just like a very stressful and very like hard to not take personal too, when you're like,
Yeah.
this is the thing I make. Is I put my soul into making this thing, and you're just so coldly telling me I'm an idiot or that you
Yeah.
can't fund it.
No, it's too much of a risk. Like,
Right,
geez, okay, all right. I thought we had this all planned out.
right.
I guess we didn't. I guess we didn't. But yeah, that's funding and
That's why you got into brewing, right? So you could talk to people about beg people to give you money. That's why I got into it.
yeah, I get just a big. I was like, yo, look, this is my dream. Here are my hands out.
Right. And there's always just like a little further, the goal line, just a little bit further. You just got to look a little bit further. Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm where you told me to be. So,
Man,
well,
what a guy, the brewer over at Pilot, Glenn. Glenn told me he's. I've gotten good nuggets from a lot of guys in the community, a lot of brewers in the community. but one of his was the closer that you get to something, the further away you are, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you think you know what the answer is. It's like, all right, I got this, and then you're like, all right, you're one step. That just alludes to what you say, like the goalpost moves back just a little bit further each time. It's just like, all right, I see this. All right, I got this down pat. Damn, wait a minute. Now my view is just widened. There's more stuff that I got to get to. Right. So yeah, that goalpost keeps moving.
I use a golf analogy often too, where it's like, the drive, you hit a drive that goes 250 yards, and you're like, well, I'm three-quarters of the way there. They're the early wins are like kind of easy and feel great, and then you're like, well, it's gonna take me 12 more shots to get it into the hole. Like, yeah, I got so close in the first two. Why am I so bad at this? Like,
got me on the golf analogy. I got to get out there and play some.
I haven't played golf in like 10 years. So, I mean, you talk about people that have given some good advice. You guys have had some some very, you won the Brewbound pitch in 2021, the pitch slam. And then you also were, what was the Sam Adams experience ship?
Yeah. Brewing the American Dream Experience Ship.
Yeah. What is an experience ship?
You know what? I don't know, but it was fun though, man. It was dope. We had the Brewbound one was super fun because that's like the first large kind of competition that kind of validated us to us.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. It was a lot of obstacles with that. So we get there and we had roaches in our first Airbnb apartment. So the night before the competition, we had to leave because we got back at like 1 a.m. and then we're getting ready to go to sleep, and then we're noticing all these roaches just like on the bed and on like behind the stove. And so we had to find a Days Inn at 2:33 in the morning, sleep there, and then get up at 6:30 to leave by 7 to do the pitch competition at like 8:15. And yeah, buddy. And
running on optimal all cylinders.
What? Yeah. Man, and then the Airbnb that we had was illegally subleased. So it's like I turned the keys back in, and it's just like, you weren't supposed to be living there anyway. And I was like, oh.
That's hilarious.
All right. But that was, but we got that, and that was probably the one that was like, all right, we feel good about what direction that we could head in.
Cool. I do want to talk about the entrepreneurship or whatever the boss now. But before that, we're gonna take a short break for this message and then come right back with more of a conversation with Zach Day from Funkytown Brewery.
Today's episode is brought to you by StompStickers.com, trusted by thousands of breweries across the country. They've been printing for over 30 years, and they know beer branding inside and out. Whether you need beer labels, keg collars, coasters, beer boxes, or more, they've got the expertise you need, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Try your first run with StompStickers.com and get 15% off with code TRY15. That's TRY15 by visiting StompStickers.com. This German flavor break is brought to you by Weyermann Specialty Malts, crafted in Bamberg, Germany, and trusted by brewers worldwide for depth, color, and flavor. With a portfolio of over 90 malts, Weyermann provides the tools to build anything from crisp pilsners with Pilsner Malt to rich Märzens layered with Munich and Vienna. Even complex dark beers using Caramunich and Special W. Whether you're refining a classic European style or pushing modern recipes, order Weyermann from RahrBSG. As an industry-leading keg management partner, Keg Logistics delivers premium stainless steel kegs with the flexibility you truly need. Whether you're kegging your first batch or scaling your distribution, choose the program that fits. Rent to own, flexible term leasing, or pay per fill. Get top-quality kegs without massive upfront costs and terms that grow with you. Thousands of brewers, cider makers, and wineries trust Keg Logistics to keep production flowing. Head to keglogistics.com/allaboutbeer for your custom quote. Keg Logistics, your kegs, your choice.
Welcome back. Zach, we're talking about all the accolades you have won and how great you guys are. So Sam Adams, huge beer dad, one of the OGs.
Yeah. Yep.
How'd you get on their radar, and what does it feel like to be recognized by a place that's been around since you were born, right?
Yeah, no, for real. It's funny. I'll come back to that year we were born in a minute. But it was it was a weird story how it happened, right? So Rich, our CEO was out. I forgot what the marketing conference was called, but he was out at a marketing conference and just happenstance walks by a table and he sees a flyer of Sam Adams Brewing the American Dream experience ship competition, right? And so he was just like, whatever, right? Like, okay, let's take a shot. And then we submitted the information, and then we got called back to be finalists. And then it's like, holy crap! All right, cool. So they fly us out to New York, and we were competing. I think it was 5 breweries that we were competing against, live and in action. All right, so Jim Cook is there, and he's just going around with a Sam Adams glass, just like dunking it in everybody's, just like cleaning his glass out and stuff. But he's just having a blast. Like he's a billionaire that you wouldn't even know is a billionaire just because he wears the same thing every day and all he does is want to drink beer. Like, like that's all he wants to do.
That's how I'd be if I was a billionaire.
Man, like so he comes over, and the thing is, like we shine the most when we're out in public during festivals, because we all have, although we've been friends for a very, very long time, of course, we all have our different personalities. And then that's when it's kind of able to shine, and all 3 of us are able to kind of mix it all in together. Mm-hmm. And then, the people who come by the table or come by the tent always end up having some fun, always end up having a blast. So we knew that that was a great environment for us. We always said that we were already going to play an away game going to New York to do this competition. But it was just like, we feel good about our chances and about our odds. So we get there. Eventually, yes, we had Garrett Oliver come out and support. Jim Cook was over there just having a blast with us, tasted the beer. We felt really good about what we did and how we came across. So we ended up winning. And so they were able to fly us back out to Boston some months later. To do a collaboration beer with them, to meet with everybody within the C-suite, to meet the sales reps, ask any and every question that we needed and that we wanted to, made a bunch of lifetime contacts, beer contacts, distribution contacts. Like those are people that we would reach out to if we had questions about distro, like, hey, what about this situation? What about this scenario? This, that, and the fourth. And they was always able to give us that information. Now the collaboration beer that we ended up making was called 1984. That was the year that Sam Adams was started. And that's also the year that all 3 of the founders of Funkytown were born. And so it's just, we came up with a pale lager. And on the can, it had, I'm forgetting the number, but it might have been like 14 different 1984 references. So whether that's Space Challenger, whether that's Michael Jackson in the Pepsi commercial.
You had Flamin' Jackson on there?
Yeah. Then we had the purple rain cloud over his head, so it looked like it was just like dousing out. So because Purple Rain came out in '84. And then we had Jim.
I think Prince the one that lit him on fire, to be honest.
Yeah.
To get out of my space, I gotta drop
right.
This
right. Right. It's like, you don't belong here. We're gonna do this. We're gonna set this up. But like, so that was super dope. And then we met a lot of contacts there. And those are great friends. Good advice. And always there when we need to reach out and ask any questions. So definitely brought us a little bit more viewers and folks to Funkytown, just because Chicago, for one, is a big city, and for 2, the nation is pretty big as well. So you can't expect that everybody knows who you are. And so we were fortunate enough to grab some of those Sam Adams consumers and customers to get some more eyeballs on us, and I'm sure same in reverse too. So uh, it was a good experience. Ship.
Nice. I got a question mostly for me. What are things that
Okay.
like what are things that like we can do to help be welcoming to the black and brown drinking community, both in our tap room and just like as we exist as a brewery and business that has some resources of space or whatever we have to, just to be welcoming and not make it seem like we're like being weird about it.
Right. Okay.
So unlike how I asked that question, but
Right. No, like that's a great question, though, Mike. Like, and I can respond from everybody's gonna have their own opinion of what people should do, right?
Right. Not saying you're a monolith for
Right.
the one representative of the community.
Right. So
But
if
now
I
after
were to
that,
walk in,
please. Yeah.
right. So if I were to walk into a spot, right, I like places and I like people based off of authenticity. Like, so if this is who you are and this is what you're about, then this is who you are and what you're about. But is it inviting? Right? Is it a space where it's like, okay, um, I might walk into a space where it might be a lot of folk rock or something like that. And it's like, okay, I don't listen to folk rock. But when I walk in the door, how inviting is the space? How inviting is the customer service? How inviting is the bartender? How inviting is the hostess? How personable are the patrons there? Right? You're always going to find one or two a-holes in every place. So that's not even what anybody's ever worried about. But for me personally, everything doesn't have to be tailored towards me. I just want to see you be as authentic as you can and also inclusive and welcoming. If that's the case, because the point is not to make anyone one thing. The point is to take two things and bring them together and see what happens in it, right? So I don't want to walk into a spot in like an all white spot and they're playing like trap music. Not to say that like you can't like trap music, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Like not to say that you can't like it or they don't like it or someone doesn't like it. It's just like for me, it seems like it's patronizing, right? It seems to be like, okay, this is performative, you know what I mean? Instead of authentic. Now, if we have a conversation with the bartender or something like that, the bartender's like, yeah, I listen to this, I listen to this, I listen to this, I listen to this. And then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like authentication, man. I just want people to be authentic. And if you can do that and have a welcoming space and inviting space, then down.
Cool. So you guys are looking for your own space, hopefully in the next 500 years, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it started off with 1 to 2, and then it was like, yeah, 3 to
It
600.
always starts off with 1 to 2. What type of environment do you want to create there? Like what's gonna make it the Funkytown spot?
um, it's going to be all of our personalities wrapped in one. And so I think we already are a diverse group as far as like backgrounds of where we're from, where we come from. Greg is complete west side of Chicago guy. And then me and Rich, we were kind of born and raised in Oak Park, so we have that kind of diversity like within us as well, knowing how to speak with everybody, knowing how to tap in and being involved in a whole bunch of different cultural stuff. And then seeing other people's culture and how it's influenced us a little bit. So I think you'll see some sports, you'll see some hip hop stuff, some music, some movies. I'm a real movie head, so you see music references, you'll see great beer, of course. You might see a spades game going on somewhere. You might see, we want it to be like a kick it spot, like a hangout spot that any and everybody can come to and just feel like like they belong. Like there's a piece in here that speaks to you, whether it's an NBA Jam like arcade game that's in the corner or something, or it's this piece of, I don't know, contemporary art that's on the wall, or maybe it's this painting that's over in we just want something that has the ability to speak to everyone, and welcome them into not only good beer but good vibes and good times.
In between now and when that happens, hopefully less than 500 years from now, because I want to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
there. What should people be looking out for from Funkytown? What do you guys have coming down the pipe?
So we'll be at the Oak Park Microbrew festival this upcoming August, so come by the tent. That's a huge festival that we participate in. We won't be at Barrel and Flow this year. But still, anybody who listens to this that's out in that area, please go and check it out. It is something that's amazing. Yeah, we're just going to try and put, we have some news that we're probably going to talk about within the next few weeks. So we do have something major that we do want to announce, some good news, some helpful news. So that's yeah. So that's something that we're looking forward to, and then just finishing off the summer strong, and giving the people what they want.
So you guys have been pretty successful starting from, I think I've watched an interview where Greg said you guys started with $450 in your bank account, found pilots. Well, you outdid us. We had 1,500, so we were riding high. But what advice would you have for people who are trying to start off out now, trying to bootstrap it like you guys did, to get this brewery thing up and going? Besides,
Work with
don't.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Work with people. Work with people you trust. Work with people you trust. That's for me like number one. Because a lot of decisions need and have to be made.
That's huge.
Yeah, and you gotta be able to trust the circle that you're in. Realizing that there could be mistakes, but knowing that it's not done out of maliciousness or anything like that. If you have a circle you can trust, you're already good moving forward. The second most important thing I would say is to pay attention with is like revenue. So first starts by establishing your tax ID, getting a bank account, but then also understanding what banks need in order to give you a loan.
Right.
So an example to anyone who's listening, money needs to flow through your account. Make sure that the money flows through your account this way that the banks can look at it and say, hey, he has or they have some cash flow. So important thing is making sure you have a circle that you trust. And then two, making sure that you understand and you know what the bank needs from you in order to get you a loan.
Not that someone else is collecting and showing the revenue for things that are brewed under your name and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like you know me, Mike.
I do. I also like to add to the, not that I guess I'm asking myself the question, but the people that you trust, but also people that you can communicate with, right? People that when you have to talk about tough things, because like money's gonna be involved, or like your creative process is gonna be involved, and those things can be sensitive. So people that it doesn't even have to be conflict, but you can just have open conversations with, and then trust that they have your best interest and you have their best interest at heart. Because like if you can't talk with like your business partners, and your business partners extend beyond like the guys who are on the LLC with you, right? It's like anyone that's like has a stake in your business, or that isn't like that you need to be invested in your business. That's a business partner that you need to be able to communicate openly and like kind of freely with, and not be afraid that like saying the thing you need to say is going to piss them off in a way that jeopardizes the relationship or the business or something. It's like there are millions of smart people out there, but there's not as many that work with you as well as you can, as well as you can, right? And having good communication saves so many problems.
It does. It does. It does. I mean, and even within those hard conversations, right? Imagine having a conversation with two of your friends or four of your friends or five of your friends or your business partners, and you're like, look, um, we have to put this operating agreement together.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now we're talking about percentage splits. Now we're talking about what's to who and who's to what. And if you don't have that communication, if you don't have that trusted circle, if you don't have that, those conversations are they're already tough, but they're going to be extremely difficult. Like with this one, you got to be able to walk away knowing and compartmentalize a little bit. This is business and this is friendship or this is partnership. But if you can't talk to people, then you're not going to get anywhere. The world's currency, a lot of the world's currency is based off of relationships. So if
Totally.
you can't, if you can't get any, if you can't maintain any, then, or you piss off the wrong person, or you say the wrong thing, then you never know where that might come to bite you. But yeah, money is important, but relationships are even more.
It's also just as bad to get yourself in a position where you feel like you can't say the wrong thing. You feel you can't say the real thing because it might be the wrong thing, you know? So like,
Yeah.
don't work with people there where you feel like that they make you feel like that.
I concur.
Well, Zach, where can people find you? Internet, where your address, whatever, you know, like where can they figure out this?
All right, so my parents' address is yeah, you can find us at Funk on Instagram, Funkytown _ Brewery. Facebook, Funkytown Brewery. We're not on Facebook as much at all, really, but you can really find us on Instagram. You can find us in Whole Foods, Jewel, Benny's, United Center, about 400 or 500 different points of location. Pravare. Let's see what else here. Greg normally rattles all this stuff off. But yeah, more than likely just Benny's, Whole Foods, Jewels. Those are main retail chains.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Is there anything you want people to know before I attempt to land the plane?
Buckle your seatbelts.
Come on, man.
Put your trays in an upright position.
This is where people realize that I can barely read.
Did a good job, man. You sounded natural and that funny,
yes.
And I was like, my boy.
Zach will be back in the next episode of this show as the host, having a conversation with a brewer of his choosing. That will be on air next week, so make sure you tune in for that. A reminder, visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at allaboutbeer. To support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. I'm Mike Schallau of Is Was Brewing. Thank you for listening to the Brewer to Brewer podcast.
Today's episode is brought to you by StompStickers.com, trusted by thousands of breweries across the country. They've been printing for over 30 years, and they know beer branding inside and out. Whether you need beer labels, keg collars, coasters, beer boxes, or more, they've got the expertise you need, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Try your first run with StompStickers.com and get 15% off with code TRY15. That's TRY15 by visiting StompStickers.com. Weyermann Flavor Break is brought to you by Weyermann Specialty Malts, crafted in Bamberg, Germany, and trusted by brewers worldwide for depth, color, and flavor. With a portfolio of over 90 malts, Weyermann provides the tools to build anything from crisp pilsners with Pilsner Malt to rich Märzens layered with Munich and Vienna. Even complex dark beers using Caramunich and Special W. Whether you're refining a classic European style or pushing modern recipes, order Weyermann from RahrBSG. As an industry-leading keg management partner, Keg Logistics delivers premium stainless steel kegs with the flexibility you truly need. Whether you're kegging your first batch or scaling your distribution, choose the program that fits. Rent to own, flexible term leasing, or pay per fill. Get top quality kegs without massive upfront costs and terms that grow with you. Thousands of brewers, cider makers, and wineries trust Keg Logistics to keep production flowing. Head to keglogistics.com/allaboutbeer for your custom quote. Keg Logistics, your kegs, your choice.